Hi, my name is Iskra Velitchkova. I'm a digital artist or a computational artist. I'm not sure how to define myself. I mean, I'm focused on generative art, but basically in everything that helps us to, establish a conversation with the machine. And I think generative art is a very powerful tool for that. But I'm also interested in physical art, and I plot a lot of my stuff, which is generated by the computer, but I'm exploring different medium.
So let's start with the beginning of your generative art journey. How did you venture into this world?
So my journey starts with data visualization. I studied economics years ago, and I was very interested in understanding the world around. I was between economics and physics, everything that can show me something from the world around, and I decided to go for economics. But then at the end, I really needed something creative to express my thing. And I found this with the help of a professor in the university. There was a starting hype in data visualization at that time, and it was like a very good match between doing something creative but with my background in data, charts, and displaying information. So we decided to do a studio together, and then I moved to a big company in Spain, and I really needed to go through my own vision. And I quit my job, and I spent 1 year on realizing what I learned in the past years and how could I just move into something more free, which is generative. It's the same that I was doing in data visualization, but without data. And just for the sake of beauty, let's say, I built my own project, and I just tried to find a way, because I was not an artist. I'm not sure if now I am, but I was not working on art itself. So I needed to find my way there. And then the NFTs came, and I think that's the story.
So a lot of your journey began from your appreciation of data and then your creative applications, the visualizations that you could come up with. But it all boiled down to you saw a beauty in algorithms. And I think that is something that's a very challenging idea to most people who aren't familiar in the programming or coding world. So what is it about an algorithm that strikes you as beautiful?
I think the beauty of an algorithm goes far beyond the code. For me, it's impressive the way how, distances or the distances between us are changing today. I mean, if you want to find a restaurant, in 1 second you can click on an application and find the best one for you based on your preferences. Or if you want to meet someone, you have applications to find someone instead of looking for a whole life for the best partner for you. And those things are based on algorithms. And I don't care how we design them or how we explore them. It's about how we are shaping our relationships. And that's beauty for me, because it's a two-directional thing. I mean, we are designing things, but at the same time, the thing that we obtain from the machine, it's something that for me, it's like a new source of information. It's like someone that, traveled all the world and knows all the food there and met everyone in the world. I mean, this is like a very utopic way of thinking, but if we think about what's the philosophy behind what we are doing, it's something very powerful. And the way we interact with these things and what we can create with these tools, it's something that is very appealing for me. And I think generative art, it's something that explores this through beauty. And that's very important, because you're not seeking for any result or money or something in the company, or it just because you want to explore something. And I think in history we have many examples of how an artistic exploration gave some feedback to science and technology. And I think this feedback, I'm not sure where are we going with that, but for sure it's something that it's interesting for me. And that's the beauty that I find there.
You said earlier, though, that you still are unsure as to whether you would count yourself as an artist. And, having had your work exhibited, at Art Basel over the course of this year, what is it that's holding you back from identifying yourself as a true artist?
I've been doing this thing for a long time, and I was considered for a long time a designer or a data visualizer. but not an artist. And as I said before, I spent 1 year on putting all my things together, but mostly on saying, okay, you're doing art. You can do that. You can say that, because it's a big word for me. And also there is something very interesting happening now with blockchain and with this whole movement of many people getting into the space, which I'm not sure if I really understand what's going on there, but there is something that is changing the way we understand who is an artist and who is not. And it just like, I feel great saying that I am, but in a very profound way, I really need more time to understand what I'm doing here and what I'm trying to express. And yeah, but I'm fine calling myself an artist, but yeah, it's just a reflection.
So it's just a bit of an adjustment for you as the momentum of your artistic career, I guess, takes off. And to bring, blockchain and specifically Tezos into the fold, what did interacting with other artists on blockchain do for your own craft?
For me, Tezos, it's an emotional piece in my journey, because I started in Tezos and from the very beginning, and as I said before, I was trying to find my place in the space. All the people that I admire and I've been following for many, many years, they're here. So I want to be part of this. And then I built a community there with, I didn't build it, but I was part of the community, and I just felt like a very safe space for me. It just kept going in this way. And first it was this Hackathon platform, then FX Hash, but always there is this kind of feeling of we're doing something special, we are really trusting on us. The people that I really want to trust and be part of the journey with them, it's here. So this is for me.
So there's an intimacy within the Tezos art community, because even though it's expanding quite quickly, as you said, it's an emotional safe space for you to be able to present your work and also to learn and grow. And I think often people would see that as running in contrast to what we conceive of as the traditional art world. So how would you compare the two, like the blockchain art community versus the traditional art community?
I'm still trying to understand the connection between both. I'm very interested in find ways to connect with the traditional art world, and also inside of the blockchain, things out from Tezos. I think the power that we have is just interconnecting between each other. But there is something that for me was very helpful with the Tezos community. We started with something that we really trusted on. Once we managed to be there, to have a space, to tell people this is a space for a generative art, a well-done generative art. Now we have, I think, the strength, or I don't know how to say, but just to connect with other places where I'm sure that we have, as a community, a lot of things to say and to share. But if we really establish this connection, we will learn a lot from other places and the traditional art and the traditional curators and history experts or whatever. And I'm really looking to find the way to grow together, let's say. And I think we're going in that direction. But I think we're really comfortable going all together from here.
Do you think it's necessary for the generative art world to be quote-unquote accepted by the traditional or the larger institutional players that are the most recognized names around the world? Do you think that that's necessary in order to qualify it as being quality art, or do you think that can rest within the community and that can be recognized amongst the people who understand the value of this kind of art form?
Well, I think at some point it will all be art, or that's the way that I understand what we do. It's clear to me that it's different now, and there is some underground pressure or power that it's holding us, let's say. And then on the other side, there is a traditional art, which of course will confront, and that's something that I find beauty, because if not, maybe we're not doing nothing that changing, let's say. But I think at some point we really need to work on clearly disseminating what are we doing and why this is maybe different, or not just different, but something with an entity. And what does an algorithm mean? Explain to the people that it's not that the machines are doing the job, we're doing the job with them. And this is a conversation that we really want to, I think, need to have with the other side, not to be accepted, but to go together in some direction to express. I think that both sides wanna do something together in that sense. And I think we need to be open to listen their feedback.
So it sounds like there's a gap in the conversation between this artistic, tech-focused subculture and how we define, the traditional art world. And you've made an active point of trying to understand what it's going to take to bridge that conversation. So we're not actually there yet. But what do you think of, shows like this where generative artists who may have only really established their practices in, say, the last year or last 2 years are suddenly being welcomed into this space?
The fact that that we're here now. I remember I was last year, 2 years ago, in our Basel, and there's nothing about NFTs, or I was looking to find something, and I said, okay, maybe one day, And the next year, we had the talks in the entrance and everything, and I saw Tezos behind, and so it was this speed is like new, So things are going too fast, or not too fast, but quite fast, and I think we are going in that direction. For me, this gap between our message and the rest of the established art world, let's say, is the same gap that we have in society. I mean, we started the conversation talking about the beauty of the algorithms, and I've been working for a long time on trying to get those two worlds together, trying to explain to the people that what we do with the data, what we do with the algorithms, what we do, which is not against the people, but sometimes trying to help. Or in general, I feel that people is like against that, because it's not clear, because it's a black box sometimes, because it's something that it's beyond their understanding, which is very normal because they are not dealing with that daily. So I think here is the same thing. There is always about information, always, in life as well. I mean, if you deal with that information in a good way, you feel safe and you're okay and you don't feel attacked by anyone because you just understand what's going on here. So that's why I think we really need to express and to disseminate and to explain and to show, like you're doing, guys, here with the booth. I just came here for the first time now, a few minutes ago, and I saw how you're explaining about rarity concept, about what's a long form, why we have a series of 10 works to explain one work. What does it mean? I come from another show now, and it was so funny because someone asked me, how many works do you have exhibited here? And I was 100. And they're like, what? And then I started explaining that, and it's so funny, this moment of it's one work, or actually there are 100 works. Those are things that, even for us, that we're doing that, it's something that we are trying to figure out how to understand our own work. So imagine for the rest of the people. So I think there is a generosity maybe from our side that we really need to go on with, and to really explain what's this about, to be included in that.
Yeah, I think that's a very salient point, because as this art discipline really kind of comes to the surface and people are acknowledging it, it won't be appreciated in its truest form until people come to understand what qualities it possesses in order to give it the value that everyone else who is a bit more articulate in this field will see. But then one underlying issue is that, as this momentum builds, often the details get lost in the noise, and that key education piece can kind of fade away. So how do we keep everyone on the right track and focus on the right values and principles that are going to take generative art forward?
I mean, there are many things. There are people that they say that where is a concept, for example, in generative art, like the basis of the contemporary art, actually. or I don't know, this is something that I can do with the computer, and what's the thing here? What's the point that you draw, I don't know, a sun, or what's the breaking point here? And I think first of all, we should explain that it's not about what are you coming up with now. We're exploring the tools now. And I think there are many people doing impressive things now, but mostly it's about exploring what can AI do for us in terms of creativity, what can generative art do for us. Can we draw a mountain? Can we draw a sea? Can we draw? And once we discover everything, we can expand the way that nature is perceived, the way how the message is perceived. That's for one side of the conversation. For me, it's really important to really find a way to express what's the point here, how we are able to establish this conversation with the machine, and how can the machine bring something that until now was impossible. Until now, we were drawing what we have in our mind. Now, we are telling the machine that, and the machine is giving something that we didn't imagine. So that's the first thing. And then the other thing, which is very important for me, it's the concept. When people ask us, where is the protest here? Why are you not talking about, I don't know, the problems that we have about the war, about gender, first of all, I think here there is a huge concept behind what we do, and is what will be the power that we will allow the machines to have. That's something very important, because if we don't agree on that, society will suffer or not. That's the concept, and we really should express that loud. This is the concept of the 21st century. What's the role of the machine here? And once we understand what's the role, then we will be able to design the way that they treat us, the way that things are probably mean to be better for us in terms of equality, or, there are many, many things here. So there is a concept, and I think those two things, they are very relevant, and we really need to tell that.
So if you thought that question was hard, this one might be a little harder. We always ask everyone that we interview, if you could describe blockchain in one word or one short phrase, what would it be?
Well, I don't know if in one sentence, but very short. For me, this is the same as the algorithms. I'm not an expert on blockchain, and I know about the technology, but I don't consider myself someone that really understands how it works. But for me, it's the philosophy behind. And I really understand the blockchain as something that I'm not sure if it's going to change in the future in terms of how we use it. But the concept, for me, it's like a very natural consequence of what we're doing for the last 20 years. We can express ourselves in the media, we can build our own podcast, we can everything. So that freedom and that single power that we are building for the last years, it's being represented in the blockchain for me. It's about how we are gonna deal with this freedom in terms of financial things, in terms of information distribution. And so there is something that the blockchain, it's just like gathering all together, and we'll see what's going on with that. But yeah, it's something about freedom.
So blockchain is kind of like untethered freedom, I guess.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask you a couple questions about FX Hash, because I know you mint a lot of your work on there. Can you tell us the quick story of when you stumbled across the platform and started to put your work on there?
That was a very funny week, actually, because I was in Hiketnung and it disappeared one night, and it was, what's going on here? So what happened? And I think it was the next day, or at least the same week, that FX Hash appeared, and it felt like, okay, we should be here, because this is like the new space. It was very interesting because it was for long-form projects that we didn't have anything in FX Hash until that moment, and it felt like really something that grew up organically from the community. So it was very interesting. I was doing a show which like would it was taking a lot of time for me, so I didn't get into the platform immediately. I was just looking what was going on there, but I think I waited 2 months or 3 months to mint my project there. So immediately when I finished my show, I minted something, an Inhabitable there, which was my one and only project actually in the platform. I did a collaboration after that, but that was the first one. And I just wanted to join the party or something like that. And it felt really great because it was a free way to mint something without curation, without anything. Just I tested myself with my first long form, I think. And yeah.
And how close are you to the team? Like, what would you say about the team that are working and building FXhash?
Well, I don't know if I'm close or not, but I know them and they're friends actually. And it feels like really great having this direct conversation with them. Every time that I need something, I had some problems with my collaboration and minting, and they were there on the chat. So it feels like there is something very decentralized there, but at the same time, you have someone behind all the time, and yeah, I feel close to them, yeah.
And how would you describe the community of artists and collectors on FXhash specifically?
Yeah, the community of collectors and artists, I think sometimes is blurred because it's, I think we all collect because there is something beauty on. There are many friends there, and I also am trying to have a great collection by myself, and when I see the work of my friend, I have to collect it, and there are many projects every day there, and it's quite easy to get into collecting there. And also there is something interesting that happened this year. I got to know a lot of collectors better. Some of them really understand the story behind the projects that we have there, the ideas for future projects, and yeah, I found an interesting realm there for having a conversation with the collectors. And I think there are two main perspectives, I think, the ones who are there for sharing with the artists, like the work, and then also there is a huge interest in just collecting and following the trends, and I think all together brings a rich ecosystem or something, and it's interesting.
Awesome. Those are all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.